Hello, I'm Kimberly Carnley. Like you said, I'm the new city attorney. Thank you for having us here today. I just want to start off by saying I am honored and privileged to continue serving the city of Stillwater in this new role. I'll start by telling you a little bit about myself and how I got here, and then I'll give you an overview of what the role of the city attorney's office is at City Hall. So I've dedicated my entire legal career to public service, having previously served in state government roles, both for the Oklahoma Tax Commission and the Attorney General's office. About 5.5 years ago, I came to the city of Stillwater as an assistant city attorney. And in June, I was appointed the interim and more recently appointed into the role of city attorney. The city attorney's office currently has a staff of 3. Dennis McGrath serves as the prosecutor, and he is also our deputy city attorney. And we also have Catherine Chris, and she is the legal department administrative assistant. So what does the city attorney's office do? We are an office that's appointed by the charter, and under the charter, we serve as the general counsel to the city council, the city manager, the public trusts and appointed boards, commissions, and committees of the city. We also provide legal advice to all 20 departments of the city. So as you can imagine, the workload is diverse by any standard. We do anything from providing general legal advice to drafting contracts, reviewing agreements. We draft ordinances, resolutions. We review public procurement to make sure it is in line with state law and, when applicable, federal law. We also do claims administration for workers' compensation claims, as well as tort claims filed against the city. We participate in litigation. We represent, Dennis is the prosecutor, and so he serves to prosecute municipal offenses in municipal court. So it's a full but rewarding workload, and I'm excited to continue serving the city in that position. And the real rock star is here today. I can turn it over to him to tell you about what's going on at the city. That's more exciting than that.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. Thanks for asking us to come. I just intend to talk about a few things, and I think that there are probably folks in the audience that have more questions about what might be going on than I might mention, or I might have other topics. So would prefer to spend time providing information that you want to hear rather than my thought on the matter. So first thing I want to do is say that we're very pleased that the voters passed the half-cent transportation sales tax issue. We, as you know, in the run-up to that, we had roughly $68.5 million worth of projects on the shelf. It'll take us about a year to kick that off because, first of all, the tax goes into effect July 1, and it'll take about a year to accumulate any significant amount of funds. But during that year, they'll be able to start engineering projects. As soon as we form, during the run up to that vote, we promised the citizens that we would appoint a committee to oversee that work and ensure that the projects that public wants to see done and the projects that need to be done get done appropriately. And I owe Roger and a couple of other people that are, I think, even on this call, an apology. Applications for the Transportation Project Advisory Committee close Friday, February 25th, this Friday at 5 p.m. Last week, Roger was interested in, I told him you need to get it in quick. That information wasn't correct. I just had the wrong Friday. So current projects in terms of transportation. Come Monday, you're not going to like Perkins Road at all. It's going to be one-lane traffic both directions. They're about finished with the east side, and you can expect even more delays than there are now. And just as there will be additional activity around town in about a year on these transportation projects, this one's going to take almost 2 years to complete. Good news is that they'll pull out of there during home football games and other significant events and try to get as much traffic on that road as possible. But it will be a mess for a couple of years. 2 phases of the project. This is the first one on the east side of Perkins Road, and they're getting ready to kick off the west side next week, and that's the reason the other lane will be narrowed. And when they're done with all of that north of McElroy, they will come back and mill and overlay Perkins Road from 3rd Street to McElroy, so that whole stretch will be new. The other issue that we currently have on our priority list is a new fire station. There are a whole lot of reasons for that. I think you've already had a program on it, or maybe one is scheduled, but current facility, great old building. It's beautiful. It's on the National Historic Register, but its location with a lot of pedestrian and traffic problem or traffic around it causes a whole lot of problems in response times. And that building was built, I think, with WPA workers. The floors are about 1 foot thick. It would be nearly impossible to remodel that building to accommodate modern firefighting equipment. So that bond election is on Tuesday, April 5th. The last day to register to vote is March 11th. And the deadline to request absentee ballots is March 21st. The new fire station will be located almost halfway between, on Western, almost halfway between McElroy and Lakeview, on the east side of the road on land provided by OSU. We appreciate their partnership in that. That move will actually improve our ISO rating. And there are some companies that use that to determine your homeowner's insurance rates, and that should help those rates go down. We're currently at 2, one of 11 in the state that has attained a 2 rating, with 1 being the best, 10 being the worst. And we think we can make a 1 with that move. Obviously, we always get questions of what's that going to cost me? If you live in a $350,000 house, it's going to be around $58 a year. $300,000 house, $50.10. Or $1 million commercial building would cost $172.04 over a 20-year bond for $9 million to build a new fire station. So I'm going to give you the opportunity. Oh, tours. You can actually go see the building, see what we're talking about. This is all online, but Monday, March 20, later in March, Monday, March 21st, 12 to 12:30, Wednesday, March 23rd, Tuesday, March 29th. You probably won't remember these unless you write them down, but they're on our website. And you can go take a tour and see how bad that building is, because it truly is. Beyond that, we have several economic development issues that we're working on right now. We're pretty excited about one that I can't talk about because it would provide a lot of new jobs here in Stillwater, quality jobs. We think we're pretty close on that. Block 34, as you know, generosity of the Irby family here in town. That development will kick off in May, we think. It's currently out for engineering and architectural work. And I think that will be a game changer for downtown and will stimulate additional development. So that's a few things about what's going on right now. I just as soon answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, so this is Tim Harden. I've got a question about the sales tax, doing away with the sales tax on groceries. That seems like that's going to take a hit to all the cities. How are you going to handle that?
We're closely monitoring that. And because Oklahoma is the only state in the United States that does not allow municipalities access to ad valorem tax for operations, that would be very painful to cities. Right now, the version that is passed, unless Representative Ransom says different, exempts municipality sales taxes from that reduction. So the reduction here would be 4.5 cents, which is the state's cut in sales tax.
Thank you.
I'll jump in too, if you guys don't mind. Tim, I've recently been added to the Oklahoma Municipal League Legislative Committee to review all legislation from a city perspective. They've been working very hard on making sure that state law doesn't affect city revenues, because it would be a tremendous chunk. It's a real mess, just because cities, stores don't really track grocery items from non-grocery items very well when they're reporting sales taxes as it is. So it's going to be really difficult to figure out how stores are actually going to have to start reporting what's grocery, what's not. I mean, just think of Walmart, what counts, what doesn't, and how well do they track it? But we've been assured by the state legislature that they will keep the city's revenue whole. Take that for what it's worth.
Right, and one of the reasons that we're coming to you for this fire station bond issue is that sales tax, frankly, just does not generate sufficient revenue for city operations. So that's the reason we're coming to the people and asking them to provide that additional revenue to build a new station to help protect your homes.
Norm, I've got a question, Larry Hobrock. So the fire station issue has come up in recent years several times. What's new? What's going to, since it's been defeated several times in recent history, what's the pitch to make this more compelling, number one? And number two, it's a bond issue, so how will those bonds be paid for, and how will that affect each of us? Sales tax, or what?
Okay, yes, it has been defeated a couple of times, and I think the reason being is that there were other issues on those ballots that were a lot more than $9 million. I think one was 64 million, and I frankly don't remember the total ask on the other one, but it was a significant chunk of change. The only thing we're asking for here is $9 million to build a new fire station. I think the information is pretty compelling about why we need a new one. We can't rebuild that. We've got $1 million ladder truck that needs to be stationed there because of the height of the building, and it won't fit. You cannot put it in there, nor is there a way, even if you could raise the ceilings, nor is there a way to get it through traffic to get it in there. So living conditions for our firefighters that stay there for 48 hours at a chunk are horrible. We have women firefighters, and there's no separate facilities. Grand old building, but it was built in 1939, and it shows. So,
Okay, so will that be paid for by another increase in sales tax, or what?
yeah, no, it would be a bond issue. Those are the numbers that I gave you a few minutes ago. If you live in, excuse me while I find the paper, you live in a $300,000 house, I believe it's about $50 a year. Yeah, $50.10 a year to pay for that. If you live in a $450,000 house, it's $75 a year. So if you look at it on a per month basis, it's pretty small. Commercial building would raise that ad valorem tax by $172. It is my belief that a great deal of that if we're able to obtain, following the construction of that building, and a 1 rating from ISO, that the cost of your homeowner's insurance would offset a great deal of that. Not all of it, but a great deal. So did I answer your question?
Yeah, so it'd be paid for by property tax increase.
Ad valorem, yes, property tax.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I had a question about the citizen committees that are being put together for oversight of the sales tax and visitors tax. How are those appointed or selected?
Council does that, appoints and selects them. The visitor tax committee is already in place. I think we have a couple of vacancies on it. So, and that's what I was talking about earlier, like the Transportation Projects Advisory Committee. We solicit people to apply for those, and then the council makes those, it makes a collective decision on who is appointed to that.
Do you know if the applications are still open?
They are open till the 25th, tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
What I said earlier, I told a couple of people that they were due last Friday, which was incorrect. So they're due today or tomorrow. I'm sorry. Let me make it really confusing. Tomorrow on the 25th, they are due.
Where can you access that application? Is it on the city's website?
It is. And I tell you what, if you'll email me, I'll send you a link, because I'm sure if I give it to you now that you're not ready to write down a long.
Oh, I'm so ready.
There's a section called citizen boards and citizen boards and committees or something like that, that has the link in it to the application.
Thank you.
Actually, that's one other subject. The city's website is old and decrepit, and we're working on a new one this year. It's got a ton of information in it. It's just really hard to navigate through it fine. So we're hoping that once we get the new website online, finding things like that link would be much easier.
Rachel, I just put that link in the chat.
I'm
I see
sorry.
it. Thank you. Sarah put the link in the chat so we could all access it before we get off of here, so we can all apply. So if you get a ton of applications today, you know it's Rotary. We're solid. We're all about it.
That's right.
And we love lunch. So if that's included, then we'll get a lot more applications. I'm just throwing that out there.
I see Will shaking his head.
That is not in the budget. I'm sorry.
Come on, man.
Are there any other questions for Norman or Amy?
Got to ask about 6th Street. What's the latest on 6th Street? When are we going to see something happen there?
Just about the time. No, you're getting ready to say just about the time they finish Perfect Road, but that's not true. Right now, it's projected from to start in 25. We're currently working on relocating utilities and that kind of thing in the area. That's part of our obligation. It's a $25 million project. Last I recall, the estimate of that will spend about $3 million. 2025 sometime is the projected date. But I will also tell you that Perkins Road was projected to start about 1.5 years ago. So those dates kind of move around, but that's when the money would be allocated in the budget. 6th Street. Other questions?
Yeah, Norm, what's the status of the animal welfare building? Is that going to be on a bond issue or?
Eventually, we think in the next year or so. It's it is a horrible, the building's in horrible shape. It's been affected by earthquakes. Believe it or not, it's been hit 6 times by lightning. Have no clue why. Just the location, the HVAC systems, plumbing systems, that kind of thing have just gone to pot. And if I remember correctly, that building was built in 1983. It was almost too small when we built it. It is really overloaded now. And age and wear and tear has just caught up to it. So we're trying to patch it together and keep it going until we can get another question on the ballot.
Yeah, and I'll just add that the council decided not to put that on the same ballot as the fire station, partly in response to what Norman was talking about earlier with our previous attempts at passing a fire station bond and then being either directly tied to other items on the ballot or having other stuff on the ballot, and either voters being confused or feeling like the city was trying to pass stuff that it didn't really need by mating it up with stuff that it really did. And so, the decision from council, at least from my standpoint, my vote on it was to say, we want the fire station to stand alone. That really, really needs to pass. We really need to be able to fund that. And so we didn't want to have 2 items, even though they would have been separate votes. We just wanted to make sure it was as clean and easy as possible for people to say, listen, all we're asking for at this point is fire station money. But to Norman's point, the animal welfare building is probably in worse shape than the fire station. I mean, the fire station can generally do its job right now. The animal welfare building is really, really struggling. So it needs to be on there as well. But we're hoping for a good, solid turnout to support the fire station bond, and then we can put that one up on its own as well, and give people again that sort of clear, simple, this is what we're asking for, this is why, either most likely early next year.
Other questions? Really, you have a chance at municipal government here. And I'm not hearing questions. So if you have one,
Got another one. I'm trying to apply for this committee and it's not listed in the committee. No, Will's laughing like I'm serious.
No,
I'm
I believe
engaged.
you.
I'm an engaged citizen. He's laughing because he believes me. That's why. So when you go to the application, it says that there's a list of current committees, and then you click on that and the visitors tax isn't on there and the members aren't listed. And also there's not anything that mentions the sales tax. So as I'm applying, it asks for the committee name. So can I just put the visitors tax oversight committee and you'll know what it is?
Yeah.
Yes, or transportation projects advisory committee.
Okay. I might
Either
make
way.
up a couple and put applications in for those too. Just heads up.
And as I told you, our websites old and hard to navigate.
Yeah, I actually noticed this the other day too, but that list of the comprehensive list that was updated in January, or says it was updated in January, doesn't include either of those new committees on it. So we'll make sure that gets updated.
So are there indeed vacancies on the visitor tax committee?
I honestly don't know for sure.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
It was, I think it's all full unless somebody's resigned. It is full.
We did appoint a full slate, but that was what, 18 months ago, 2 years ago?
February 2020.
Yeah. Then there were some intervening events.
Yeah.
But Tim, we'll double check that and make sure those folks who were appointed are still interested in serving, and if there are vacancies or if those terms have expired. I honestly don't have that in front of me in terms of what those terms were, but we'll double check it and update everybody on whether there are openings there as well.
Thanks.
Other questions?
I don't have a question, but I wanted to jump in real quick after Kimberly introduced herself to you all and make sure if you're interested in the legal side of what happens at the city, I would encourage you to reach out to Kimberly and chat with her and set up a time. She's been an incredible asset to the city of Stillwater and to the legal side of things. In the interim, the 6 months basically she served as interim city attorney, she really had a lot on her plate and was operating at well below what the staffing levels need to be in that department, and has done a great job. And so we're really excited to have her as the city attorney here in Stillwater, and I would encourage you to get to know her. And her role is it touches a lot of what we do from a city standpoint, and so she's certainly someone that I think you'd want to get to know better. And if you have questions about what she does and what her office does, she's a great resource for you. So really excited to have Kimberly on board at the City of Stillwater.
All right, well, if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, Norman and Kimberly, for joining us today. We wanted to let you know, yes, clap. Even
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Stillwater Frontier Rotary supports literacy, so we will be donating a book to the Stillwater Public Library in your honor. So thank you again for joining us today.